Alright, Part 117, Surface Transportation Board, Debt Collection by Offset from the Debt of the Government, Former Government Employees. Section 115, Purpose Scope 2, Definition 3, Applicable to Award Notes Requirements, 5, Hearing Procedure, 6, Result. Employee feels, if employee feels to meet deadlines, 7, the written decision following hearing, 117-18, Exemption with entitlement notice to hearing, written response on decisions, 9, Coordinating Offset with another federal agency, 10, Procurement of Administrative Offset, 11, Refunds, 12, Statute of Limitations, 13, non-waiver rights, 14, interest penalties and administration costs. These regulations further, 4 guideline they implement the Debt Collection Act of 1980 for the transportation purposes of the act to give the agency's ability more aggressively pursue the federal government and to increase the efficiency of government of the average wide efforts of the collected debts of the United States with the authority of these regulations are found in the Debt Collection Act of 1982 collection by the former indebted government employees federal claim standards and regulations about the procedure offset of the federal employees salary without his or her consent with the safety concern debt owned with the federal government over the regulation however to be applied with all the current former federal employees without the debt for the current with the board employees without the debt. Other federal agency regulations set forth herein do not apply with the employee's consent to recover his or her current pay account. The regulations do not apply with the debts and claims arising under the Social Security Act, Internal Revenue Code of the 1954, the Tariff Law of the United States, indicate the ways where the collection of the debt of the salary is explicitly provided with the prohibited of statute. These regulations do not preclude the compromise suspension of the termination of collection wherever the appropriate under standard for the implementing federal collection act. The regulations do not preclude the employees requesting of the waiver of salary employment under Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 5584, Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 2774, Title 32 U.S. Standard Code 716 in any way question of the validity of his debt and submitting claim the General Accounting Office of the request of the waiver under statutory provision pertaining to the particular debt of the board regulations governing the debt collection and even the individual or current for the former government employees are contained in Title 49 CFR 1018. 17.2, the definition for the purposes of the regulation, the following definitions will apply. Agency, Executive Agency, Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 105, including the Post Office Service, the U.S. Postal Rate Board, the Military Department, the Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 102, an agency, Court of Judicial Branch, the agency, the legislative branch, including the U.S. State and House of the Representative of the other independent staff of the any of the federal government, credit agency of the agency with the debt is on, an amount of the money property had been determined in appropriate agency official with the owed for the United States for any of the person's display or disposal pay with the amount of the remaining employee federal with the pay required with the debt. Deductions, Social Security, federal, state, including income tax, federal health insurance, premiums requirement, contribution, life insurance, premium, the federal employee tax, and any deductions that are required to withheld the law. The FCC, the Federal Claim Collection Standard with the joint published with the Justice Department, General Accounting Office, Title 4, CFR 101.1 and 10. Sequence hearing official with the office for the official with the request of responsible for conducting here with the properly timely requested by the debtor. An administrative law judge should be responsible for conducting the hearing. The chief of the administrative law judge should determine which judicial official with the sign the hearing bearing agency, the agency with the employee, the individual who owes the debt authorized for the payment of the current pay, administrative offset with the whole of the money payable with the United States, with the help of the United States on behalf of the employee to satisfy the debt owed by the United States by the employee, waiver the cancellation forgiveness not covered with the debt allegation owed by an employee for the former employee agency permitted required by law. Applicability, the rules, regulations, filed with the women, the board is owned by the debt current employee for the board is owed the debt of the individual certainly employed with another federal agency. Board employee the individual who owes the debt and another federal agency the board is owed by the debt. Employees separated for the federal government the authority with the collective debts owed by the former federal employees found with the FCC as to the Title 31 U.S. Standard Code 3716. Alright, notice requirement. Deduction should be made unless the input provided with a written notice signed with the debt collection official with the chief section of the financials with the debt at least 30 days before. Administrative office have commenced with the federal employee shall hand delivered with the hand court of the certified return receipt requested if located with the field office shall contain the statement of the debt owed by the collection and the nature of the amount of the agency intentions to collect with the meaning of the deduction of the employee current disposable pay with the account, the amount of frequency proposed at the beginning of the day of the duration, and then deduction, explanation, entry for the penalty of the administrative charge for the including the statement of the such charge of the S system one less excuse. According to the FCC as an employee right for the inspect of the copy of the government record related to that if the employees are able to physically inspect the government record of the agency reproduce the copies of the records, many of the these copies not previously provided the opportunity of the terms agreeable with the credit agency with the help of the schedule to repayment of the debt of the entry of the written agreement of the agency the double schedule of voluntary repayment of the debt and when offset with the agreement that must be in writing signed with both employee with the credit of the agency, the document with the creditor agency files, the right of hearing of the contract and partial hearing of the official the current existing amount of the debt of the repaid the schedule of the agreement between the employee and the accredited agency. The time period petition with the hearing, the statement of the timely filing of the petition of the hearing on and or before the 15th day of the filing, receive the written notice will stay with the commencement with the collection of the proceeding together with the instruction on how and where to file the petition. A statement of knowingly frivolous statements represented by the evidence may subject the employee to appropriate disciplinary procedure, criminal penalties, and or false certification statement of the other rights of the remedies available to the employee with the statute, the regulation governing the program in which the collection is may be made, unless the contractual statutory provision for the contrary with the statement of the amounts paid on the deducted the date with which are later waived if the found not owned by the United States, the properly refunded the employee with the written notice formerly federal employee shall down certify the return receipt of the weapon shall contain the statement of the debt of the owed for the nature of the amount, the agency, the intention of the collected administrative offset against the amount of the due payable to the debt of the civil source of the retirement disability fund or by either the collection service for the recovery of the delinquent debt, an explanation entry for the penalty of the administrative charge, including the statement of substitutability assets unless accused of the according to the Title 4 CFR 101. Consequence. The former employer's right to inspect the request a copy of the government record of the relating to the debt of the former employer is unable to physically inspect the government record of the agency, reproduce the copies of the record to make sure of the for those copies. The opportunity to enter the written agreement with the agency established schedule for the voluntary repayment of the debt rate of hearing, conduct the partial hearing of official concern with the existing amount of the debt of the repayment schedule if it was not established with the written agreement between the former employment creditor or agency. Method of time period of the proceeding of the hearing statement of the timely filing of the petition of the hearing on or before the 15th day of the following receipt of the written notice will stay over the commencement of the collection of the proceeding of the instruction to file the file of the hearing will be an issue within not later than 60 days of the filing of the position recording here within the life of the former employee with the hearing of grant of the delay of the see includes a statement of the knowing of the fault of relationship representing the evidence of the name subject to the former employee be appropriate criminal penalties, the same other rights remedies available to the former employee under statute relation governing the program for which the collection is being made unless the contract statutory provision of the contract not to do with it or later waived and found not owned by the United States with the properly refunded the formerly employee. Hearing procedure upon administrative law of the judge's determination with the compliance with 117 4B8 and 117 4C7 and with the whichever the applicable he or she at the time of the day of the location of the hearing of the paying to do with the conservation conveniency of the employee. As a significant matter, discover the hearing should be documented always with the verbatim transcript of the hearing shall not be made. The administrative law judge may exclude the evidence he, she, the deems irrelevant material that untrue, repetitious, any part of the hearing of these regulations entitled the present his or her case for the legal documentation of the cross-examination as may be required full or true disclosure of the fact that the board has initial burden of the proof of the existing amount of the debt. The employee requesting the hearing shall bear of the employee must prove that no doubt exists and cast sufficient doubt of the reasonable amount that could differ from the existence of the amount of the debt. With the employee filed the position of the hearing is intended to the officer of the schedule of the of the board with the administrative law, the judge shall take into consideration all relevant factors. The employee's financial situation determine whether he that offset schedule should be to any portion of party of the hearing under the regulation entitled the quantity of the represented by the council also well within person without counsel. Administrative law shall issue the final written decision with the earliest practical date, but not later than 60 days final of the petition requesting of the hearing as is stated 117 4B10 and 117 4C9 of this part which was applicable. Alright, 117.6 resolve that the employee failed to meet the deadlines. Employee must not be granted for the hearing and will have his or her disposal pay outside of the accordance with the board offset schedule if the employee failed to file a petition here with the conformity with the 117 4B8 and the 117 4C9 of this part which is applicable, however, the failure to within the requisite of the time period of the 117 B8 with the 117 C9 with this part with whichever the applicable result of denial of the hearing immediately. If the administrative law judge executes the late filing, the employee can show that they with the capital circumstances beyond his or control of the failure to receive the notice of filing deadline. The schedule appear with the failed to appear with the hearing without good cause. Written document written decision filed the hearing 117.7 and written decision provided the request of the hearing will include the statement of the facts presented with the support of the nature or origin of the alleged debt. The administrative law judge analyzed the conclusion of the hearing concerned with the board of the ground amount of the availability of the alleged debt of the repayment is scheduled with the percentage of the applicable administrative law judge does not preclude any employee from requesting the waiver or salary payment of the Title 5 U.S. Code 55, 88, 84, Title 10 U.S. Code 22774, Title 33 U.S. Standard Code, Title 32 U.S. Standard Code 16, anyway with the question of the availability of debt, submitting the subsequent claim of the government accounting office according with the procedure described in the government accounting office. Alright, 117A, executive entitlement notice hearing and written response, final decision. The board shall accept the provision 117.4 with the 117.7 with the adjustment of the pay arising out of the employee deduction with the coverage of the change of the coverage of the federal benefits program required with the periodic deduction from the amount to be recovered with accumulated over the four pay period or less. 179. Coordinating offset with another federal agency, the Board of the Credit Agency, the Chief Selection Section of the Financial Service to deter the employee of the federal agency of the delinquency of the board he or she will arrange hearing upon prepare proper petition of the employee, proper petitioning of the employee, certain the federal agency amount of with which the due with the debt rights of the debt with the crew from the board regulation administrator also have been approved by the Office of the Personal Management and provisions of course DFR of 102.3 has been fully complied with the new collection made with the installment of the right to the paying agency, the amount of the percentage of the disposal pay collected by each of the installment by the paying agency, the take action on Title 5 U.S. Code 5514A if the employee process with the separating with the board submit with the debt claim with the paying agency provided with the support paying agency must certify the amount already collected and notify the employees of the certification of the employee separation with the creditor agency paying agency wherever the employee the money of the civil service retirement and disability fund it must certify the Office of Personal Management and the debt of the U.S. to include the amount of debt of the board with the with the applicable statute regulations above the Office of Personal Management. The board complied with the requirement of Title 4 CFR 102.3 with include the hearing and review. If the employee has already separated all payment due to the paying agency, they have been paid by the chief of section of the financial services of the Office of Personal Management unless otherwise prohibited by money payable to the employee civil service of the retirement disability fund or other similar funds collected by the administrator offset provided with the certification described in paragraph A5 of this section. The board paying its agency upon the receipt of the properly certified the claim of the other agency, the addition of the schedule of the pay beginning at the next interval, the employee must receive the written notice of the board will receive the certified of the debt claim from the creditor agency amount of the debt day with the administrator will begin the amount of the deduction of the board which will not review the merits of the credential agency with the determination validity amount of the certified claim. When the board receives the incomplete with another credit with the agency with the board return the with the notice of the receive the Title 5 U.S. Code 5514 Title 5 CR 551 1109 must be filed with the properly certified with the debt of the receipt before action take up and collect with the employee current pay account. If the employee transfers to any other agency, any other clear agency submit the debt with the claim of the board or the debt with the full collected with the board must certify the total amount of the collected with the creditor agency along with the notice of transfer furnished with the same of the same to the employee. 110. The chief of the administrator debt will collect with one sum when possible if the employee is financially unable to in one sum of the collection shall be made with insolvent directly shall be collected with the deductible officially with the pay interval of the employer can play with the account unless the alternative arrangement repayment is made. Installation deductions will be made with the over the period of the anticipated period with the employee and each side of the deduction must bear a reasonable relation to the side of the debt of the employer's ability to pay with the deduction of the pay interval of any period shall not exceed 15% of the disposable pay unless the employer has agreed in writing the deduction of the greater amount on the unliquidated debts outside of the any financial plan to do with the separated employee included not limited to the final salary payment or the lump sum payment leave. Or 11711, a refund of the board shall probably refund any month of the deduct the side of the debts owed, and when the debts were found not owed, the board will direct the administrator of the judicial order credit agency will promptly return down the deduction from the board to save the debts over the credit agency when the debt is waived with the will of found owed when the director and aid administrator of the judicial order unless required with laws and refunds under the subsequent shall not be further interest. Or 11712, statute of limitations. And if the debt is outstanding for more than 10 years, the agency right to collect with the debt first accrued by the agency with the main collect with the shall offset and the next facts material of the government rights to collect when not known, not reasonably have been known, official which is the responsibility of discovering the collection of the such debt. 11713, non-waiver rights. Employer voluntary payment of any of the part of the debt collected within these relations will not be true with the waiver of any of the rights employed may not have under Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 1514 any of the provisions of the law. 11714, interest penalties and administrative cost. The rate of the interest of the shell of the rate of the current value of the fund with the U.S. Treasury, the Treasury account, local account with the published from the Secretary of the Treasury Fund, registered with the Treasury Financial Manual Bulletin, the higher rate of the interest may be set or of the reasonable determine the higher of the rate necessary to protect the interest of the United States. Rate of the interest initially assessed the shell may fixed for the duration with the debt except the debt have the default of the repayment agreement to seek the end of the new agreement. The board may set the new interest of the rate would reflect for the current value of the funds of the Treasury at the time of the new agreement executed. The board shall waive collection of the interest of the debt with any portion of the debt was paid within 30 days after the date of the interest began. To accrue, the board shall accept for the penalty not exceed the 6% of the year of the portion of the debt with the equivalently found in Title 4 CFR 112B for more than 90 days of the charge need to not be 90% accrue with the date of the debt with for also and the cover of the incur with all the delinquency is in addition incur with the processing handling the debt delinquency defines how to 4 CFR 101 B 2B. When it is partially installed, the payments amount with the receipt of the agency shall be applied with the first outstanding penalty with the remainder of the cost charged, and then second accrued interest for the third to outstanding principal. And that was chapter part 117. 117 debt collection offset of the indebted government foreign employees.